Hey guys, welcome back for what I believe is episode 12 of Pack a Day. So we've got our 12th pack of wax paper tops from 1989, and we are going to crack this thing open and see who we get. Let's rock. Oh boy. Our first card is pitcher Dennis Rasmussen. Vance Law, who was the starting third baseman for the Cubs in the late 80s, I think for maybe 88 and 89. I remember he was an all-star with the Cubs in 1988, along with Sandberg, Dunston, Dawson, Maddox, and Rafael Palmeiro. We keep running into these guys who are better known as managers, but at one time were major league players. Bud Black, current Rockies manager, although by the time this episode airs, he may be the former Rockies manager. Bud was with the Kansas City Royals in 1985, which is the year that they won the World Series. Glenn Braggs. Glenn is a big, strong man, and he was known for unintentionally breaking his bat a number of times. Once was during a check swing, and another time I want to say he broke it over his own back during his follow-through on his swing. Current Cubs broadcaster, JD, he holds the record along with Jake DeGrom, I think. He struck out the first 8 batters he faced in a game once. Catcher, Joel Skinner. First baseman, Sid Bream. Sid kind of bounced around. He started out with the Dodgers, then the Pirates, and he ended up with the Braves, I know, in the early 90s. He was on those early 90s Braves teams that started to have some success. Sid has this one epic highlight from National League Championship Series where he scored the go-ahead run to win the series.
He hacked at the 2-0, now the 2-1. Line drive and a base hit! Just as they score the tying run, Bream to the plate, and he is safe! Safe at the plate! The Braves go to the World Series!
Longtime catcher, Tony Pena. Check out those glasses. Those are pretty styling. You know, they kind of remind me of what Robert Downey Jr. wore in that last Avengers movie as Tony Stark. So Tony was a Gold Glove winning catcher multiple times, and I think he had a short stint as a Major League manager with, I want to say, Kansas City. So in 1989, the manager for the Padres was Jack McKeon. Jack's better known as the manager of the 2003 World Series champion Florida Marlins, which was their second title. So Jack didn't start that 2003 season as the manager of the Marlins. The Marlins came out of the gate kind of slow, fired their manager just a couple of weeks into the season, I want to say. Jack stepped in and put them on an absolutely torrid pace. They ended up sneaking into the playoffs as the wild card and famously beat the Cubs in that 2003 series with the Bartman play, fan interference. It absolutely broke my heart. I also remember with Jack a couple of years ago when there was all the issues with the Boston Red Sox clubhouse, and it came out about Josh Beckett and his buddies sneaking into the clubhouse in the middle of games, eating fried chicken, drinking beer, whatnot. They talked to Jack about that because in 2003, Beckett was playing for the Marlins, obviously, and he said, yeah, they had the same problem. And so what he did was he just locked the clubhouse. So Jack locked the clubhouse door and made bathroom passes. Yeah. So if you wanted to take a leak and you were on the 2003 Marlins in the middle of the game, you had to talk to your manager and get the bathroom pass. Another big strong man, Pedro Guerrero. Pedro had a pretty decent major league career. He was a solid power-speed combo for a number of years. But after he retired, he got into a little bit of trouble. He attempted to buy 30 pounds of cocaine off some undercover narcotics agents. Never fret. Pedro got off. More or less, his defense pled Pedro was too dumb to know what he was doing. Pedro had one of the better mound charges in his career. He had this at bat with David Cone. I want to say Cone was playing for the Mets at the time. And so David threw one in high and tight, and it kind of gave Pedro some chin music.
Has not scored a run or driven in run in a run in this series. That one snapped his helmet right off his head.
Pedro didn't like it, so for the next 2 or 3 pitches, Pedro was absolutely staring David down. And David wasn't backing down. He was staring right back at him.
And then back inside again, 2 balls, no strikes. Where is Joe McGinty when you need him? He only hit 41 batters in 1 year.
Pedro's staring at David Cone again, and David's staring right back at him.
Eventually, David kind of lets one loose and pegs Pedro right on top of the batting helmet. Pedro flips out and slings his bat onto the field at David Cone.
As much as you do in the National League. Oh, and Pedro.
Oh, he's got to get suspended.
Through the
He's got to get suspended for that.
Barry Lyons wrestling Pedro away from Cone. That was a breaking ball.
It's a curveball, for crying out loud.
And the bench is emptied. It was pretty good.
That was a curveball that Pedro really ducked into.
Oh, that is serious throwing that bat at that pitcher.
All right, we've got Mr. Herm Winningham. Herm was the prize prospect sent over in that huge package of players from New York to the Expos for Gary Carter. We've already seen a couple of those guys, and Herm was the major part of that deal that went from New York to Montreal. He was a big-time prospect for the New York Mets, and the Expos were pretty psyched to have him. Here he is with the Reds, and I want to say he stayed on with the Reds and ended up playing with them in the 1990 season and winning the World Series. So, good for you, Herm. The Submariner, Mark Eichhorn. He hurt his shoulder really early on in his career and ended up having to become a sidearm pitcher. Tim Cruz. Tim died in a boating accident with Steve Olin when they were still both active major leaguers. I want to say Bobby Ojeda was in that accident as well and did not die. But Tim, you know, I've said that there were some pretty solid mustaches in the game in '89, and I think Tim's rocking one. That's a pretty good handlebar. Some scrub named Andre Dawson. I think he might have won the '87 MVP. He might be in the Hall of Fame. Maybe. All right, last and probably least in this case, if we're being honest, is Brewers pitcher Don August. That was our last card. Here's our stick of gum. And so tomorrow, we'll open up pack 13 and see who we get. All right? I hope everybody's doing well, staying safe. See you later. Hey, Don.